Without the tracking, the big problem becomes that a lot of people are coming to your website and then they're just hitting the back button and off they go. Or they're filling out forms and not converting, not turning into actual leads. The big problem here, what we've seen, is that if a lead is not followed up within 15 minutes, they probably already talked to one of your competitors, or they're not going to be as engaged if you call them back an hour later because you were on the ladder or something like that. The average customer needs to be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. I've actually seen some recent studies on this being closer to 12 to 15 times, different touches on different platforms before they engage with a business. So that doesn't mean you call them 12 times. That means they come across your brand on different platforms, whether it's through Facebook retargeting, they see your ad on YouTube, all these different ways that you can touch a potential customer before they actually set an appointment. Today's consumers prefer to interact via text message versus phone call or email. I'd say that would probably skew depending on the demographics that you set up for your avatar. But for the most part, they like the convenience of the text messages. Now, probably my favorite chart on this entire workshop is this first one on the left. The potential of you closing a deal or getting an appointment shrinks tremendously in a short amount of time from the time that they engage to the time that you call them back. So if you're one of the businesses that you just don't answer the phone, or you are the installer and you're also the salesperson, then getting off the ladder and calling that person back at that particular moment is going to really help you. Now, there are some other automations we'll talk about in a minute that can kind of help this along so that you don't have to get off the ladder every time. But this is a pretty impressive chart, if you will, the amount of time it takes before a lead is potentially not converted into a client. Now, at the same time, the other one here is how many times you have to reach out to that person before they actually engage. And you can see that goes up. The more times you reach out, the more times you're likely to get that appointment. And this, again, could be through various different websites or touches along the way. So one way to fix this is use some marketing automation. One of the really cool things that we do for our clients is every missed call, busy signal, missed call, or early hang up immediately gets a text message back saying, hey, this is Will from ABC Blinds. Looks like we just missed a call from you. How can we help? So that text message back to that potential customer does two things. It, first of all, stops them from searching for other businesses, right, for your competitors, because they got an actual reply. You may be the third person they called, right? But finally, somebody answered, or they got back to me at least right away. And it starts a conversation with them immediately via text message. So this is something we built into Lead Boomerang that really helps grab those leads that could have just called, hung up, and never converted, or they went on to a competitor or something like that. You can also obviously automate the follow-up piece of that, reaching out to them a couple different ways. Don't forget texting, maybe giving them a call. You can drop a voicemail on their phone. Those kinds of things are great. But having something in place, something automated that really helps with this, is a big piece of this. Now, when it comes to the math, I just plugged in some numbers here. If you had 100 leads and you're converting 30% of those leads, so a pretty small amount of them, and you don't have any follow-up sequence at all, then that means you're going to close those 30 leads, right? Or you're going to convert 30% of those booked. If your average job is 4,500, that means you're going to make 135 grand, right? We'll say this is in a month. It doesn't really matter, the time frame. So if you have some follow-up in place, the only thing that you changed here is just having some automations and some follow-ups in place. That conversion rate could go to 60, 70%, right? Because you have that in place. That's the only change that you've made in the entire thing, is just having that follow-up. Same conversion rate, or sorry, new conversion rate 70% because there's more, same amount of leads coming in. That revenue is what? It's more than double. It's almost triple the amount. That's the only thing that you did different. So obviously that's a win. So this makes every single lead much more valuable to you overall. So, all right, action items. What are some conversion elements that you can implement on your website? We talked about some really good ones. An obvious different color button, right? That says schedule appointment now. That's probably an easy one. Click to call, right? Especially on mobile, make sure that that is in place. And that if people get to your website from a phone, that they can actually call you without having to copy and paste the number and try to remember it, switch screens, that kind of stuff. So have some of these different things in mind that you need to get onto your website to help the people that are already coming to your website, just help them convert better, right? Consider the automated outreach back to them as well. Put those in the workbook as well.